Because it'll just take a couple minutes for Ms. Wilson to get it set up and run it through the
And
podium.
I send an exhibit list to you, to all of you, okay.
Yes, I got it, I put it on. We can deal with that whenever the parties think it's appropriate. Well, everybody have a seat. Our jurors are back in State of Ohio versus Lindsay Partin. Please place your lanyards on, and as we have been doing every day, jurors, do we have any issues that need to be brought to the attention of the court? Very good. To let our jurors know where we are in the case, the State of Ohio has formally rested. We have attended some other housekeeping issues while you guys were not here yesterday, so we are all caught up to speed, ready to go. Defense calling witnesses today.
We are, Your Honor.
Ms. Howard, you may call your first witness whenever you're ready.
The defense calls Lindsay Partin to the stand. Sorry.
Stay right here, raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Have a seat. What's your step, please? Okay.
Ms. Howard, you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
You talk softly.
I do, sorry.
You're going to have to talk loudly.
I will try my best.
Okay. I talk loudly, so try to match my voice.
Okay.
Okay. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Lindsay Melissa Partin,
Okay. And Lindsay, what city and state do you live in?
Hamilton, Ohio.
Okay. And how old are you?
37.
Are you married?
To me, I'm married.
Okay. And what does that mean?
We had a wedding. We went for a marriage license, but TJ's uncle that married us forgot it the day we got married, and we went on our honeymoon, and we got back. It wasn't important to me. A piece of paper is not important to me. Marriage to me is making a commitment to the person and to God. Anybody can walk away with a piece of paper.
Okay.
It just wasn't important.
Are you part of a family?
I am.
You have children?
I do.
And ages and names?
Vivian is now 4, and Savannah is now 3.
Okay. And your husband's name?
TJ.
Do you call him by other names sometimes?
In my phone, it's baby daddy.
Okay.
It's kind of our joke.
Okay. Was there a time in your phone that he's called different than baby daddy?
Husband, he switched his phone numbers, so I just put in the new number. I didn't merge the contacts.
Okay. So if you see husband, it's TJ Smith?
Yes.
And if you see baby daddy, it's TJ Smith?
Yes.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
I am.
And what do you do?
I do the office work for my dad's business.
Okay. And prior to March 8th, or as of March 8th, 2018, were you employed?
I was.
What did you do?
Did the same thing for my dad. I've been doing that since I was 16. It was my after-school job. So I've always worked for him and did his office work and paperwork. And then I started babysitting
And when did you begin babysitting?
August of 2016.
Okay. And at the time of March 8th, 2018, what children had you babysat?
Kaylin
Okay.
and Hannah.
Okay. And is Kaylin also KK?
KK.
Okay. And did you also sell Mary Kay?
I did. I sold Mary Kay.
Okay. And if we look through the phone extraction records, would you see evidence of that?
Yes. I would always text my customers if I was putting in an order to see if they needed anything. Or they would text me if they needed something.
Okay. Lindsay, did you cause harm to Hannah Weshy on March 8th?
I did not.
Did you cause harm to her on March 6th?
I did not.
Did you cause harm to her on March 7th?
I did not.
Why did you tell the police that you did?
Because I wanted to protect everybody.
And what do you mean by I wanted to protect everybody?
In the first interview, I felt like it was all about TJ. I mean, they even asked me if I was an abused wife, if he was abusing me. And I cared about Jason. I didn't want anybody to be in trouble.
When you went into the interview room on March 8th, had you been in an interview room before?
Never.
Okay, as a person other than a victim?
Right.
Okay. You relayed something in your interview that you had previously been in a room with police, correct?
Yeah, I was 11.
Okay. How did you feel about police on that day?
When I was 11?
Nope, on March 8th.
I trusted them. I've always trusted them. I have family and friends that are police officers. They uphold the law.
Your brother's a police officer?
He is.
What's the age difference between you and your brother?
5 years.
Okay. And if we look through the phone extraction, 33,000 pages, how often are you contacting your brother?
A couple times a week.
Okay. Phone calls?
Yes.
Text messages?
Yes.
FaceTime? Do you FaceTime with him?
Yeah, he has 2 little boys, so we would let the kids do that.
He lives in Richmond, Kentucky, is that correct?
He does.
Do you visit him often?
I do.
How would you consider your family? Close?
Yes.
And you indicated that you have close family friends that are police officers.
Yes, ma'am.
What's close to you?
My best friend since I was about 6, our moms are best friends also. Her older brother was always in law enforcement. Even in high school, he did the Explorers program.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 124. Ask that you take that out of the envelope, please. When was the last time you physically held that phone?
The morning of March 9th.
Okay. And is that also the same phone that we saw on the video at the very end of the second interview video with Detective Lambert?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did she let you hold that phone at that time?
I don't think so.
And during the period of time that between your first interview and your second interview, was that phone in your custody?
It was.
Okay, so they didn't take it from you on the 8th.
No, ma'am.
On the 8th, when you had your first interview, do you remember telling the police officers or the detectives your passcode?
Yes.
Did you change it from March 8th to March 9th?
No.
When did you become aware that the police had done an extraction on your phone?
I don't quite remember. Maybe on the 8th, I gave them permission, I think.
Okay. I'm going to show you what was previously marked as Exhibit B. I'm sorry, G as in George. You recognize the document I'm handing you, G as in George?
Yes.
And what is that?
It is a consent to search my phone.
Okay. And you see your signature placed on that document?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember signing that document?
I do.
And what date does it show on?
3/8/18.
Okay. And do you recall where you were when you signed that?
I think in the interview room.
Okay.
It
Do
may
you
have been
have
at
an
my house.
independent memory of that?
I don't.
Okay, but you do recognize your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, to ask to publish and admit?
State?
No objection.
All right, that's Exhibit G, I believe you said.
It is.
That will be admitted, you may publish.
It's on DVD player, so I'm not sure where else to go from here.
This wasn't.
Are you trying to use? I'm trying to use the camera. Okay, thank you. You see your signature at the bottom here
Yes, ma'am.
and the date at the top?
Yes.
Okay. On that same day, do you remember signing another consent to search?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And then mark Exhibit W as in Winifred, which is my middle name. the record reflect that I'm handing the witness Exhibit W as in Winifred.
All right.
Do you recognize your signature on that document?
Yes, ma'am.
And what date is that signed?
3/8/18.
And what did you consent to search?
Any item that caused injury to any child.
Okay. And do you recall when you signed that?
I think at my house because they came back to get the train
Okay. And when did they come back to get the train?
after we left Fort Hamilton Hospital.
Okay. So the morning of the 8th, and we're going to go slightly out of order, you were at Fort Hamilton Hospital.
Yes,
You talked to who?
Jason.
Okay. And did you talk to any police officers or detectives?
Yes.
Who?
Deputy Mayor was there.
Okay.
I don't know that we had a conversation, but he was around me and Jason.
Okay.
And then Detective Lambert and Detective Sprague came.
I won't correct you or not. At this point in time, I'm not going to say how it's pronounced.
She got it right.
Well, she did.
Sorry.
Do you remember signing that consent at the hospital?
No,
Okay. Do you remember signing it at the sheriff's department later in the day?
no.
Okay. You remember signing it at the house? Okay. Did you go from Fort Hamilton Hospital straight to your house?
I did.
Okay. And I'd ask to publish W.
Dave?
Objection.
So it would be admitted, you may publish whatever you wish.
See your signature on that document?
Yes, ma'am.
You see the date at the top?
I do.
And you see Detective Sprague's name on there. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct? Okay. You heard some testimony from Paula Smith yesterday. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times did the police take photographs of your house?
Once
Okay, that you were aware of?
that I was aware of.
Okay. Have you seen different sets of photos?
Now that I've been in court, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what was marked as 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, sorry, up to 103. Ask that you look through those, please. Let me know when you're finished with those.
I'm finished.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then I'm going to hand you 104. Sorry. 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123. Before I hand you those, the ones that I did hand you already, do those appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of your home at 4050 Shank?
Yes, ma'am.
And now this stack of photographs.
I want these back.
Just put those right here.
Okay.
Does that stack of exhibits appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of your home?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit 107. So it's in the stack, the second stack I handed you.
Yes,
Do you recognize that particular photograph?
I do.
And who do you recognize within that photograph?
Myself and Kaylin.
And so if someone previously identified a different child, your own child, in that photograph, that'd be inaccurate, correct?
Inaccurate. It's not my child.
And in terms of that, you heard testimony from Paula Smith yesterday that she had come and cleaned your house in between Fort Hamilton Hospital and before you came back. Did you hear that testimony?
Yes.
You're looking at those photographs.
Yes.
Is your house cleaned?
No.
What's not clean about your house?
There's still toys all over the floor. My counter has sippy cups and apple juice out. My creamer for coffee is still out. The coffee pot and coffee cup are still sitting there. Stuff on the stove from the night before.
Your beds aren't made?
Beds are not made. There are toys in the living room, blankets on the couch, baby dolls on the floor, a purse they played with. Clothes in the guest room, piled up on the bed. My makeup and girl stuff on my vanity.
And now looking at 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, and 103. What's dirty about those photographs?
There's toys everywhere, like they were left the night before. TJ takes his boots off as soon as he gets in that door from the garage. There's dirt all over one of the rugs. Toys.
And the set of photographs that you're looking at right now, what are those numbers again?
Oh, I think I just got them out of order. 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, and 103.
And in terms of the room that is a picture of, that set of pictures, what room is that?
It's the garage.
Okay. And in terms of the other set, the stack that's on the front, can you tell me what rooms, is that the rest of the house?
It is.
Okay. So 105 all the way to what?
$123.
Okay. And now I'm going to show you what was previously marked as State's Exhibit 2 and 3. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
And what room are they of?
The garage.
And do the photographs of 2 and 3 appear to be different than the garage photographs that you identified as 97 to 103?
Yes.
And what would you say is different about those two photographs from the prior set of photographs?
The toys are put away and cleaned up.
It's cleaned up?
Yeah.
Do you know when those photographs were taken?
Were you
present?
No.
Okay. Paula Smith is your kind of mother-in-law?
I would consider her that.
Is that what you call her?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't certain of that. During the time period that this was going on, was there anything going on in her life that she was busy with?
Her father was slowly passing away. He was in hospice.
Okay. In all the months that Jason lived at 4004 Shank Road, had you ever been inside his house?
I've never been inside that house.
Before he lived there, had you been inside?
Before he lived there, I've never been inside that house.
Okay. And had you ever been up to the door?
Once.
And what was the occasion for that?
It was a Friday night. I was coming home from my parents with my little girls. It was about 7:30, and Caitlin called me and said that Sandy, the other babysitter, was trying to get a hold of Jason. He hadn't picked Hannah up yet. She asked if I'd seen her dad, and I said no, but I'm on my way home. If his car's in the driveway, I'll stop by and knock on the door. So I did.
Okay. And did you get inside the threshold of the home?
No, he came to the door
Okay.
and kind of opened it, and we talked for a minute, and he said, "Oh crap, I gotta go get Hannah." I fell asleep on the couch,
Okay.
and then I left.
And so you had never seen the photographs of Jason's home?
No, ma'am.
When did you begin babysitting Hannah?
I think it was the week after Father's Day, so middle of June 2017.
Okay. And what were the circumstances of that?
He had gotten hired on as the mechanic for my husband's company, father-in-law's company. And he was driving far for another babysitter, and TJ had mentioned that I babysit and I stay home with my kids. So TJ asked me, and I said, of course.
And what's the name of the company that is owned by your father-in-law and your husband?
Smith Corp Construction.
Okay. On the first day that you babysat Hannah, did you also have any other children there?
My two and KK.
Okay. And did you mark that particular day by anything special?
Yeah, I posted on Instagram, maybe Facebook too. Welcome, sweet Hannah, with all of them sitting together.
And that's in your phone extraction?
It is.
How did having 4 girls work out for you?
It was fun. It actually worked out better. Nobody was left out. There was 4 of them, so an even number. Vivian and Hannah were kind of a clique, and then Savannah and KK were kind of a clique, but they all played together great.
Okay. Were 4 girls under the age of 3 overwhelming to you?
2 girls under the age of 3 are overwhelming. I mean, parenting's overwhelming, but it was fun and rewarding.
Okay. And what did you do all day with the girls?
It would depend on the season or even the day. In the summer, we would go to the zoo a lot. I have another friend who's a teacher, so she would be off during the summer, so she would meet us at the zoo. I always had a zoo pass. Our house is a farm, so we have a side-by-side 4-wheeler thing, so we would take rides. We would go to the creek and get rocks and paint rocks. We did lessons. I taught them their letters, their numbers, their shapes, how to spell their name. The summer that I started watching Hannah, I was getting ready to start potty training KK and Vivian, so I potty trained the 3 all together that summer.
And in terms of the 4 girls that you have at the house, tell me the oldest to the youngest.
Vivian is the oldest, only by like a week over Kaylin, KK. And then Hannah, and then my Savannah.
Okay. And what's the difference in age between your youngest daughter and your oldest daughter?
13 months.
Because they're the bookends of that, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you again what, I'll actually put it up on the screen, it's already been admitted, 107. Do you recognize these are the 2 people we already talked about?
Yes, ma'am.
You in this blue shirt and a young child, correct?
Yeah,
And is this the outfit that you wore to the police department?
it is.
And when I say police department, I apologize, I also mean the sheriff's department.
Fine.
Okay. Is this the outfit that you put on in the middle of the 911 call?
It is.
Do you see anything particular on the countertop? Can you identify what's on the countertop?
There's sippy cups on the stove. One of the pans that I used to cook spaghetti the night before. Paper towels, oranges, my essential oils.
And could you put a circle around the essential oils?
Can I do it?
What do you use those essential oils for?
Everything. Coughs, colds, grapes,
How long have you used essential oils?
for a very long time.
Okay, How do you feel about that type of use?
I try to do things naturally in homeopathic ways.
Okay. I'm going to start with a timeline beginning February 26th of 2018 onward, okay? Do you remember that week?
I do.
How do you keep track of the days that you have the girls?
I keep notes in my phone.
Okay. I'm going to show you what was previously marked as Exhibit CC. CC as in cat. Do you recognize the notes on that document?
I do.
And what pages does CC contain?
Notes for Christina Lewis, KK's mom, and notes for Jason and Hannah.
And are those pages marked on the bottom 4,583 and 4,584?
Yes,
Okay. And you're looking at these, are these what's contained in your phone?
they are.
So if we powered up 124, which is your actual iPhone, you could go to your notes section and see that?
Yes.
You wouldn't need to extract for that?
No.
Okay. Anything inaccurate about what's listed there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So in terms of the couple of weeks, starting back with February 26th, do you see the notation for Jason?
Yeah. Sorry, next page.
And what page is that on?
4,584.
These appear to be true and accurate.
Yes.
I'm asked to publish.
Straight.
No objection.
CC will be admitted and may publish for verification.
Thank you. I flipped it to page 2. Well, it's the second page of this document. You see the page number 4584 at the bottom?
Yes.
And sorry. Do you see what appears to be the notes for Jason?
I do.
Okay. Are they that large part at the top?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to zoom in so that you can actually see some of those words. Do you see, sorry, fold that down there. It's pretty blurry.
Yeah.
It's typed up, is that correct?
Yes.
And can you identify,
Focus.
is there a focus button?
Here.
Oh, okay. I would have pressed it. I did. I pressed it on it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Without crossing over the words, can you put a dot next to February 26th? Okay. So that line begins with what?
The price for the day,
Okay.
February 26th, and then the hours I would have had Hannah.
Okay. And did you keep this as the week went on?
I usually did it at the end of the week,
Okay.
or whenever they paid me, and then I would update things.
Okay. And can you explain why there are no additional notations beyond the last two lines, the no-show Thursday, March 1, and the O's 260?
I just hadn't updated it yet.
Okay. So February 26th, do you know that to be a Monday?
It was
And $35, what does that mean?
a full day. If it's 12 hours or a full day, it was 35. If it was shorter, it was 30. And if it was a half day, it was 25.
Okay. And in terms of that, do you see a pattern or of a specific time that Jason would drop Hannah off?
It would depend on the day, between 6:30 and 7.
Okay. And do you see any pattern in regards to what time he'd pick her up?
6 to 7.
Okay. So specifically February 26th, it says 4:30.
Yes.
Any particular reason for that day?
My best friend's brother was being.
Objection.
Approach.
Did you have without telling me what it was, did you have something that you were going to that night?
We had a family event.
Okay. And in terms of the family event, had you alerted KK's mom and Hannah's dad that the kids need to be picked up early?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that why on that particular day it's 4:30?
Yes.
On Mondays in general, did you do something with the girls?
We went to dance.
Okay. And where did you guys go to dance?
Turning Point Dance Academy. It's where I danced as a little girl.
Okay. And in terms of that, did all 4 girls go to Turning Point?
Yes. Originally, Kaylin was in dance class too, but her mom decided on a different studio. But I was in the Mommy and Me class with my 2 girls and Hannah.
Okay. And in terms of the page we were looking at for CC on 4584, do you see notations about costs for dance contained in there?
Yes.
And how did you bill Jason for that?
Hannah was on my account as my kid with Vivian and Savannah, and I would just pay it monthly and then let Jason know how much it was.
So the week of February 26th, how many days do you have Hannah that week?
3.
Okay. And what days are those?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay. And is there a reason why you didn't have Hannah on Thursday?
It was pouring rain. They didn't work, so Jason had her.
Okay. And I'm going to go back in time. The week prior to that, do you see that notation?
Yes.
And what day is that?
Monday, February 19th.
And can you put another mark next to it without lining it out?
Oops, sorry.
Okay. And what specifically did you note about Monday the 19th?
It was a holiday, so Caitlin was off school. So when she was off school, she would come to Jason's house and watch Hannah.
Okay. And how many days did you have, excuse me, Hannah that week?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Do you see your notation about Thursday, the 22nd?
Oh, yes, it was a rain day.
So how many days did you have her the week of February 19th?
2.
And the week prior to that? How many days did you have her?
All 4.
And the week prior to that? How many days did you have her?
3. Wednesday was a snow day.
And that's what's noted in your notes?
Yes.
What did you do on Fridays?
I worked for my dad. I would go to his office and take my little girls. He could have grandpa time, and I could get paperwork done.
Does your extraction of your phone further show identifying the 26th of February as a date to Christina Lewis?
It does.
Okay. And you've seen that page, is that correct?
Yes.
And in terms of that, did you text with Christina Lewis often?
All day long?
Okay. And what about Jason Weshy?
No.
When you would go to Monday dance, would anyone else go with you other than the girls?
My mom would meet me there.
Okay. And is that demonstrated in your extractions?
It is.
Why would your mom need you there?
Because Christina had decided to switch Kaylin to another studio, and I would have to go into the mommy and me class with the other three before Christina would get there, and I didn't want Kaylin to be by herself or even have to sit there and watch the other girls dance. So my mom would come and play with Kaylin. If it was nice, she'd go out and they would take little walks before Christina got there.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit KK. Do you recognize the messages and who you're messaging with on Exhibit KK?
My mom,
And how do you know that's your mom?
because that's her phone number and it says mom.
Okay. And you see your number also?
Yes.
Is that correct? And directing your attention to line 6 on that particular, do you see notations about the Monday dance?
Yes.
And what day is that from?
March 5th.
Okay. Do you have an independent memory of going to dance on March 5th?
Yes,
And that's a Monday?
it is.
Okay. Asked to publish?
They can't be admitted, you may publish them if you wish.
Thank you. Can you, excuse me, put a blue mark or with your finger next to that particular conversation? Okay. And how would you characterize your phone?
It has all my information in it.
Okay. And when you didn't have it with you after the 9th of March, what did you rely upon?
My memory.
Okay. And you hadn't got to touch that phone, 124, until sitting here today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what else did you look at?
I didn't really have anything to look at.
Okay. Did you look through any of the extraction pages?
Once you had them, yes.
Okay. Did you look at more than 17 pages?
I did.
Did it appear that all your texts were in there?
Yes.
Do you remember how far back it goes?
I don't erase things, erase my texts, so a long time.
Okay. You told the police in your interview on March 8th that you usually gave baths on Dance Monday. Do you remember that?
Yes.
When was the last time you had given Hannah a bath?
Beginning of February.
Okay. Did you give her a bath on the March date that we just looked at for dance?
I did not.
And why did you not?
Jason said he had given her one Sunday night, and during the day she didn't feel good and she didn't want to dance once we got there.
Okay. And what did Hannah do during dance class that day then?
She sat with my mom on the bench and they read books. In the studio out in the lobby area, there's books and magazines, and Mom gave her peanut butter crackers.
Okay. And we talked about the Monday prior to that, February 26th.
We did not go to dance.
Okay. So had you given a bath that day?
No,
What about the Monday before that?
I did not have her.
Okay. Do you have an independent memory of the last time you did give her a bath?
No,
Would you have changed her clothes that week of March?
no,
What about the week prior to that?
no,
What about the week prior to that?
no.
How did she come in the morning generally?
Jeans, a long shirt. It was cold at that time. Her coat, their hood up, and blanket over her.
Okay. Did your text messages or SMS messages with Jason also tell you what days and times he'd come over
Yes,
with Hannah to have you watch her?
yes,
And you've now looked through that extraction for that, correct?
yes.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to show, previously shown it to the prosecutor, Exhibit EE as in Edward. Do you recognize the messages contained within EE?
I do.
And what are the page designations at the bottom of that stack?
It starts at 4,608.
Okay. And how many pages is it?
It goes to 4,612.
Okay. All sequentially ordered?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to ask that you look through that briefly.
Okay.
Do you recognize those SMS messages?
Yes.
You've reviewed them. Do they appear to be true and accurate as to what was in your phone?
Yes.
And I'd ask to publish on it.
Steve?
No objection.
You'll be admitted, you may publish whatever you wish.
The first page, which, is 4608. Do you see any messages with still thinking about it? See any messages with Jason on that day?
No, ma'am.
And in terms of that particular page, the bottom message in box 13 is for what day?
3/8/2018 at 8:36 a.m.
Okay. And if I go to the top of the page, what date is that from?
3/20/2018 at 10:03 a.m.
Is that clearer? No, it's not clear. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Come help me. My screen's a lot better than their screen.
Let me try to zoom it
Ah,
out
that's
here.
good. That works.
Are you sure
I
you don't?
don't know.
Still needs to be dark on this one.
Okay.
It's the brightness. The brightness needs to be turned down.
There you go. There you go.
Does that work?
It's still awfully tiny.
Okay.
Well, and at this point, Ms. Howard, I'm not really sure exactly.
No, I'm trying to identify the dates right now. I'm going to get to a
Yeah,
different
so
page
she-
that I do need the dates
You'll
for.
focus as appropriate as
I'll
well.
move it. Now that I can see that there's a... Is that better? A little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to zoom down here and then zoom a little bit.
There you go.
What's the date at the top there?
March 20th, 2018.
You didn't get that message, did you?
I did not.
I'm going to go to the next page. 4609. What's at the top of the page? What date?
3/8/2018 at 8:04 a.m.
Appears to be several different persons texted at that time.
It's a family group chat.
Okay. And at the bottom of that page,
3/7/2018 at 7:51 p.m.
and who is Andrea Corey?
One of my best friends.
Okay. And this set of page designations to 4612 What's the last date?
3/1/2018.
Okay. And this indicates all your SMS messages from those dates, correct?
Yes.
Okay. There's also a whole nother page of text messages,
Yes.
correct? It's kept separately
Yes.
on your phone according to Detective Entry?
Yes.
Do you remember the text the morning of the 8th
I do.
from Jason Weshy?
I do.
And was that a normal text you would receive from him?
Sometimes it said I'll be over in a couple minutes, getting ready, I'll be late. He would let me know when he was getting ready to come over.
And do you see that on page 4609?
Yes.
Can you circle that entry?
Am I pushing it? No.
And that appears to be on what line of that SMS messages?
18,
Okay. And what time did that text come in?
6:52 a.m.,
What are the seconds on that?
17 seconds.
Okay. And did you respond?
I did.
And what time, including the seconds, did you respond?
6:52 a.m. and 55 seconds.
Okay. Do you remember what you were doing when you received that text?
I was on the couch with Vivian.
Okay. And why were you on the couch with Vivian?
She'd gotten up early with TJ.
Okay. And do you remember what time you got up that day?
6:15, 6:30.
Okay. Had you had coffee yet before this text?
I think I just made the coffee and was sitting down on the couch.
Okay.
I don't know that it was ready yet.
Okay. Do you remember the time frame from that text onward?
Yes.
Is it clear in your mind about what happened that day?
Yes.
How long did it take Jason to come over after you responded on this text?
7 minutes, 8 minutes.
What time, were you looking at your watch?
No.
Were you timing the point of time of text to stopwatch with what time did he arrive?
No.
Do you bill him for the time before he gets there?
No.
Why do you think it's 7 minutes before he gets there?
Because it's usually about that.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Because he gives me time to make sure I'm up and I can go to the bathroom and
Okay,
make sure I
And-
can see him driving by so I can greet them.
okay. When you say, so you can see him driving by, what do you mean by that?
There's a big picture window in our front living room. I can see him drive by.
I'm going to show you what was previously marked as 109 and 110 that you previously also identified. Do either of those photographs show this big picture window you're talking about?
Yes.
Asked to publish, they're already admitted. Can you put a circle or a dot on the picture window? Okay.
That's only half of it. It's bigger than that.
Okay. And in terms of that window, is that at the front of your house, side of your house? Where is that?
It's at the front of the house.
Okay. Showing you 96. Does that appear to be the front of your house?
It is.
Point to me the picture window we just saw in 109. So where were you sitting that day? Looking back at 109 again?
This is where that's my spot on the couch.
Okay. And why do you know that's your spot on the couch?
It's where I always sit.
Okay. And in terms of that, can you see, which direction on Shank Road can you see?
I can see coming towards my house. I can't quite see the turn, but I can see people going up and down the main road of Shank.
And we've seen the aerial photographs of that, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Showing what was previously identified as 87. Okay. Do you recognize 87?
I do.
And can you circle your house? And can you put a square around Jason's house?
Sorry.
Okay. So now I want you to touch with the dot about where your picture window is in your house.
Right there.
Okay. And so where can you see to when your curtains are open?
About right here.
Okay. And the morning of the 8th, do you remember seeing Jason arrive?
I do.
Okay. And tell me what happened.
He drove by the window, and he usually parks right here and behind my van.
Well, let me clear that out. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
You see a vehicle in the driveway?
That's my minivan.
Okay. And where would he park generally?
Usually he would kind of pull in and kind of leave his car facing that way,
Okay.
right behind my van.
And did you see him do so that morning?
I don't,
You don't remember?
I think as soon as I saw him drive by, I got up and went out
Okay.
to the
And
garage to greet him.
it's okay to say you don't remember. There's nothing wrong with that. So you went out to greet him in the garage,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what typically would happen?
Yes.
I believe there was some information in your statement about having converted the garage. When did that garage get converted?
We've never parked cars in there.
Never?
Never.
Okay.
It's always been kind of like a game room. We have a TV out there and cable. With 4 kids, there was a pool table and a Wii. And then once you have kids, kind of give them what they want. So it turned into a place where they could ride their toys if it was cold. And TJ put a heater in for me, for us.
So if it took him 7 minutes, what time did you guesstimate he was there?
Objection.
Sorry, bad question. You testified that it was 7 minutes before he got there. What time is that then?
6:59.
And how does he come into the garage?
Do you want me to do it on that?
I'm gonna, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot that this,
Okay.
let me clear what's there.
He would come around this way to the back door of the garage.
Okay. And in terms of the garage, I'll show you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit, I'm sorry, Plaintiff's Exhibit 3. Actually, I'm going to use 97. That's the photograph that they took the morning of the 8th?
Yes, ma'am.
You're in the photograph?
I am.
Okay. Is this how you remember the toys being?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You heard Paula Smith talk about the toy train.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that conversation?
Not necessarily. I'm sure I came home and said, "Where's the train? They're coming to get it."
Okay. You talked about the train to the
Mm-hmm.
detectives?
Yes.
Okay. And where is the train in this picture?
Right there.
Do you remember where it was when you got home?
I believe right there.
Okay. So, let me clear that. This is your garage?
It is.
The door there appears to have a glass in it, is that correct?
It does.
Is that the door that Jason enters?
It is.
And if you could put a spot to where he came, Like, where did he come all the way into the room? Did he stop?
Right here.
Okay. So at the end of the couch?
Yeah.
Did he get past the couch?
I don't believe so.
Okay. In the morning of the 8th, is that room lit?
It is not.
What lights are on?
Maybe these from the fans, but mostly just daylight, sunlight.
Okay. And you said fans, that's at the top?
Yeah.
How many fans are in that room? Ceiling fans?
Ceiling fans too.
Okay. And the garage, does it have other lights?
It does.
What other lights does it have?
The garage door lights that
Okay.
click on, and like a fluorescent light.
Were those on the morning of the 8th?
They were not.
How do you know that?
I didn't flip the switch for them.
Okay. Do you generally spend a lot of time there in the morning? In the garage?
Jason and I have chats.
Okay. What happened this morning?
He walked in. He was carrying her, with the blanket over. We talked about the snow and how it's gonna suck to work outside in the snow. We talked about my vapor rub working. She looked a little better. I think that's it.
Okay. Did you talk to Jason?
I did.
Did you look at Hannah?
For a quick second, she had her hood up and the blanket was still kind of around her shoulders.
Okay. Did you inspect her?
I did not.
Did you take her clothes off?
I did not.
Did you move her hair back?
I did not.
After you had that conversation with Jason, then what happened?
When we were having that conversation, he was kind of bent down with his leg up and she was sitting on his leg. So as we were done chit-chatting, she stood up and grabbed my hand and we walked in the house and he walked out the door.
And how tall are you?
4'11" and a half.
Okay. And so he's bent down like this
Mm-hmm.
with Hannah on his leg?
Yeah.
You're not at eye level with Hannah, is that fair to say?
Yes.
After Hannah takes your hand, tell us what happened.
As we were walking in, I asked her if she wanted to go to the couch or if she wanted to go back to sleep. She seemed tired. Sometimes if it was earlier, she would want to go back to sleep, and just depending on what day it was. A lot of the times she would just come to the couch and fall asleep next to me until my kids woke her up or Kaylin showed up and woke her up. But she said donut and couch, and as we were stepping into the house, I went to take off my robe and put my phone down, and she collapsed forward.
How long had you had her with your hand in that house in the garage before that happened?
10 seconds.
And then what did you do?
I immediately panicked. I didn't know what was happening.
What did you
Just
do?
trying to assess the situation. Hannah talked to me, what's going on. I thought maybe she was having a seizure. I coached cheerleading, so I've taken CPR. Rolled her on her side, tried to remember how to do the seizure in the mouth thing. Assess the situation just for a few seconds, trying to figure out if she would stand up or if she would be, talk to me.
And where's Vivian at this time?
Standing right there.
And then what do you do?
I called Jason.
And do you know what time you called him?
I'd have to look at my records.
Your phone records say what time you called him?
Yes,
No doubt.
no doubt.
You called him, and then what happened?
It rang twice and went to voicemail.
And then what? Did you leave a voicemail?
No, I just hung up. I was going to give it a few seconds. I was checking on her. I was kneeling next to her. I was on my knees next to her.
And then what happened?
He called me back.
How long did it seem like from the time that you called him to the time that he called you back?
Not very long.
Okay. And you've looked at your phone records?
I have.
What were you doing in between the time that you called him, didn't get him, and he calls you back?
Checking on her and then trying to calm Vivian down. She kept telling her, go in the living room, watch cartoons. it'll be okay. Mommy will be there in a minute to check on you. She didn't want to leave. She was upset. Her mom was upset.
Were you upset?
Very.
When Jason called you back, what did you tell him?
I said, Hannah collapsed. I don't know what's going on, but I need you up here right away.
And he arrived?
He did.
Where were you when he arrived?
Inside the house, right in front of the door that leads into the house. I had Hannah on her back on the carpet, and I was kneeling next to her.
Okay. Did you see him enter the garage?
I think I heard him come in the garage, and I can see kind of catty corner
But you more so heard him?
Yeah.
And what happened from there?
He walked in the house, and I said, I don't know what's going on. He said, me either, and he picked her up and then put her on the couch in the garage.
You didn't put her in the garage?
I did not.
I'm going to show you what's marked as BB, boy. Exhibit BB. Does that appear to be your call log from your phone extractions?
It is.
And directing your attention to, well, first off, let's identify the pages. What page number does it begin on?
94,
And what page number does it go to?
105.
Okay. And I'm going to direct your attention to page 96. I'm sorry, wrong page. 98.
Okay.
Okay. Do you see the date at the top of the page?
I do.
And what date and time is the item on the top?
March 8th, 2018 at 7:59:47 seconds a.m.
And what is the call at the bottom of the page?
March 6th, 2018 at 6:55:26 seconds p.m.
On this particular page, page 98, do you see your telephone call that you've previously testified to that went unanswered by Jason?
I do.
And what line item is it on?
73,
And what time is that call at?
7:47 seconds a.m.
And you recognize Jason Weshy's number there?
Yes,
And do you see the call where he then called you back?
I do.
And what line item is that?
72,
And what time is that call?
7:01:24 seconds a.m.
As to admit and publish?
Steve?
Well, it's already admitted,
Yeah.
so no objection.
All right, you may publish.
I'm moving too fast for it. It's not often said. Now it's just simply not responding to me.
Ms. Wilson?
I was trying to get a little bit closer so you can see it. It's a little temperamental.
Not sure if I'm making it worse or better.
Can you put a circle on your outgoing call to Jason? And let's go triangle
Okay.
over the line item for the incoming call from Jason. Okay. What do you do after Jason gets there?
Call 911.
Okay. And do you recognize the 911 call on your call log? And what number is that?
My phone number?
No, what number
Oh,
is that?
line 71.
And what time is that 911 call at?
7:02, 51 seconds a.m.
What did you do in between the time that Jason called you back at 7:01:24 and the time that you called 911 at 7:02:51?
Still trying to get her to talk to me, trying to calm Vivian down, trying to be calm for both of them.
How long was it from the time Jason arrived back to the house to the time you hit 911?
Short.
Was she already on the couch?
When I was calling 911?
Yes.
As I was dialing 911, he was moving her to the couch.
Okay. So you weren't keeping a stopwatch of how long he's been in the house,
No.
but your phone records tell us what time you called.
Yes.
The times of this call log, 71, 72, and 73, you've watched your video with the Butler County Sheriff's Department on March 8th?
I did.
And did those times match what you saw on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So if we powered up your phone, are those the times on that?
Yes.
How would you describe how you felt when Sergeant Whitlock told you on March 8th that you'd had Hannah for an hour and 20 minutes before you called 911?
Took me a minute to realize what he was saying, and then it was like at 8:20 I was at Fort Hamilton Hospital. So there's no way that's possible. That's why I said, let me see my phone. I can show you what time I called.
Why did you contest his version?
Because everything happened so fast that morning, there was no way it took an hour and 20 minutes for me to call 911.
You heard Sergeant Whitlock tell you that Hannah was dead on March 8th?
I did.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I didn't know he was lying at the time, but I was devastated. I felt like I was going to throw up. I loved her very much. Hurt.
And when did you learn that she had not died on March 8th?
Not until I was leaving the police station when TJ and I talked about going down to the hospital.
Did Whitlock ever come back into the room with you?
No, ma'am.
Do you know how long you were still at the detectives section before you and TJ left that day?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Bad question. Did you sit in that room for a longer period of time after the video, to your memory?
No.
So the video ends from March 8th and you leave.
Yes.
And where do you go?
Home.
Okay. How do you go home?
I drive my van and TJ drove his truck.
How did you feel in the first interview?
Fine. I was telling them my truth, telling them what happened. Wanted to help. I trust police.
And is there any difference in how you felt in the second interview?
Very much.
And what was that difference?
They didn't care what I had to say of my truth. They only wanted their own answers. I felt pressured. I felt forced. I wanted to protect everybody. I felt bullied.
The makeup of detectives questioning you, did that impact you at all?
Yes.
How so?
I'm more comfortable with women. I was comfortable talking to Lambert, Detective Lambert.
And you see Lambert in the second interview video, correct?
Yes.
Had you seen her before she appears at the end of that video?
No.
Who had come to the house that morning?
Detective Lambert and Detective Hensley.
Did you know Detective Hensley?
I didn't, but he was friendly.
Do you remember them coming the morning of March 9th to your house?
I do.
Tell me how that happened.
I hadn't slept all night, but the girls got up late. Fridays they'll sleep in because there's no other kids arriving to get them up and start playing. I got up and started coffee, and TJ's brother stopped by to give me a hug and show support and see how I was and give the girls a hug. And then as he was leaving, the detectives were pulling in and walking up to the door.
They came in the house?
They did?
Did you invite them in?
Yes.
And what happened from there?
They said, we need you to come back down to the station. We have some questions about Jason, just the timeline of things of that morning. I said, I can't come right now. My mother-in-law is with her father at the nursing home. Everybody else is working, but my mom gets out of her job at school at 2:30. I'd be more than happy to come down in the afternoon, but I don't have a babysitter right now, and I don't want to take my kids.
And what happened?
They told me I needed to come right then, and that they would get my kids breakfast just to bring them down. They wouldn't separate me from my kids.
And were you guys dressed already for the morning?
No.
About what time was it?
9 o'clock?
Okay. And did you get yourself dressed and the girls dressed?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know that Detective Lambert had checked over your daughters?
I had no idea she was doing that.
Did you drive by yourself and the two girls in the car?
I did.
I'm sorry, in the van?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got to the the Butler County Sheriff's Department, what happened?
Detective Lambert helped me get the girls out of the van, and she actually carried Savannah in, and I walked with Vivian holding her hand.
Okay. And then what happened?
We get inside, and they say they're putting my kids in another room. And Savannah was screaming for me, didn't want to leave me. I mean, the strangers. And I was upset. And I wanted to go towards Savannah, but they were kind of like ushering me into the interview room.
And we've seen the video. Does it start where you remember sitting there?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to the 8th back at the house. Do you remember the EMT bus or ambulance arriving?
I do.
Okay. You've heard the 911 call?
I have.
How long did it seem like it was before they arrived?
Forever.
And what were you and Jason doing during that time period?
Trying to get her to respond to us. I was telling her I loved her and just trying to figure out what was going on.
And we hear that you get dressed during the 911 call, is that correct?
Yes.
Why do you get dressed?
Because strangers were coming to my house. I assumed men. I wanted to get out of my robe and put pants and a t-shirt on.
And what did you have on?
A summer dress from like Walmart underneath, comfy one, and then my robe over it.
And do you remember whether someone went outside to try to help the EMTs arrive at the right location?
I did.
Is that a problem at that Shank Road residents?
Yeah, there's a few houses on that lane and not all of them are numbered and nobody can ever find who's who.
Okay. I'm gonna put back up Exhibit 87. Who went outside?
I did.
And do you remember where you went to?
I do.
Could you point that out, please?
To the end of my driveway right here, and the ambulance was right here, and I waved him over.
Was the ambulance stopped?
It was.
And do you have any idea how long it had been stopped at the end of Shank Road?
No idea.
Is Shank Road, is it a continuous Shank Road or is that a private drive? What is that?
This is up here, that's actually the main road,
Okay.
and then ours is a private driveway.
Okay. And do you know the street addresses that go back?
For the most part,
Okay. What's Jason's?
4004,
What is yours?
4050,
And what is Jay and Paula Smith's?
3992.
And do you know if the business has a street address?
I don't think so.
While the EMT is there, and while Deputy Mayor is there, does anyone else arrive?
TJ?
Anybody else?
Paula and Jay came in through the front door.
How did TJ get in?
He came in through the back.
The same door that we've been talking about entering
Yeah.
that morning?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if I asked you this, so I'm going to ask it now. What time had TJ been there that day?
In the morning?
Yes.
No.
At all that morning?
He left at 6:30,
Okay. And to your knowledge, he went where in the morning?
down to the barn.
Which is at the end of that private drive, Shank Road?
Yes.
So if I show you Exhibit 86, oops. Can you circle the business? And square your house. What's the distance between those two properties?
Not very far.
Okay. Did you ever time it?
No, I've never timed it, but it's even a quick walk.
Okay. And in terms of the house that Paula and Jay live in, where's that?
Right there.
Okay. Is this also a turnaround right there?
You can turn around there, yes.
Why did you think the fall on Wednesday had hurt Hannah?
You mean into the next morning?
Yep.
Concussion?
When Jason had picked Hannah up on Wednesday night the 7th, had you had a conversation with him?
Yes.
And what had you told him?
That when they were playing in the garage, she fell off the train and hit her face. I had put ice on her and did the flashlight trick my mom always did if we had falls when we were a kid, made sure her pupils were moving, but that he might want to get her checked out for a concussion. You never know when you hit your head.
Okay. And do you know specifically what she had hit?
The floor in the garage,
Okay. And what is the substance that the floor in the garage is made of?
it's concrete.
There's been some discussion about the handlebar of the little plastic toy train. Did she hit that?
She could have, I mean, that's what I assumed.
Okay. And why did you assume that?
Because she had the little, just a little dot, like a, I call it, looks like a hickey, but just a little bruise under her eye. So I thought maybe she hit the handlebar. Could have been a rock from TJ's boot in the garage. You know, I mean, it's a garage.
And you're demonstrating your right eye. Do you know what eye it was on?
It was the left. I'm right-handed. So.
Do you have problems with right and left?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you remember going to Fort Hamilton Hospital that morning?
I do.
And who was there?
Jason?
And did you talk with him?
Yeah, yes.
And did you talk to anybody else?
Not that I remember.
Did you talk to any doctors?
I think I asked one doctor how she was doing.
Okay.
And he said she's very sick, but we don't know.
Okay. And that's where you met the 2 detectives, is that fair to say?
Yes,
And we've talked about that.
yes.
Did anybody else come to the hospital with you?
No, by myself.
You drove in your van?
Yes.
In the first interview with Detective Lambert Sprague, thank you, and Sergeant Whitlock at times, did you have any concept of how long you'd been there?
No.
How long had you spent at Fort Hamilton Hospital that morning?
Maybe half an hour. It was short because they were air carrying her.
Did you stay at the hospital until the air cared?
Yes.
And then you went home?
Yes.
Do you remember in the interview, the police telling you that it was you or Jason on March 8th?
I do now, after watching it.
How many times have you seen that video?
Twice.
Twice being once here in court? Yeah, gotta answer out loud.
Yes.
And once previously. Is that fair to say?
Yes, when you gave it to me.
And on March 8th, when you left the sheriff's department, you said you went home, correct?
Yes.
With TJ?
Yes.
And then did you and TJ go somewhere else later that day?
We went down to Children's Hospital.
And do you know what time you arrived at Children's Hospital?
About 3:30, my mom had came over after school and she was watching the girls.
And did you and TJ drive together?
We drove in his truck
And how long did you stay at Children's Hospital?
to about 8:30 that night. I texted my mom we were coming home.
And that text is in your extraction, is that
It is.
correct? When you got down to Children's Hospital and you saw Jason, did you tell him that the detectives said it's Jason or you?
I didn't use those words, but I told him what they were telling me.
Okay, and what did he say to you?
Objection.
Jason?
It's hearsay?
Approach. So, your point is? But apparently that doesn't mean I. Okay, I understand that. Big
Remember what's wrong with the old hurricanes? They had, remember Forrest and his head, was that Forrest and his head? And wasn't Mr. Big one of the characters in that too? He was that deep.
All right, Mr. Somewhere approximating that, we may have to have, myself and the attorneys might have to have some more conversations up here, but we'll get started as close to that time frame as we can, okay? Very good.